week 20 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few hitters I looked at this week. The first guy, Spencer Torkelson, the Detroit Tigers. So Torkelson, we know he's the number one prospect in baseball a couple years ago, but he really didn't translate to the major leagues last year. But now this season, he's starting to get things going since June about his Torkelson, where he's been on a tear and one of the better power hitters on the season. 22 home runs, 68 RBIs, 64 runs scored, 3 stolen bases, a 232 average, and a 315 on base. But like I said, the last month of the season, he's really getting it going. 8 home runs, 16 RBIs, 16 runs scored, a stolen base, a 240 average, and a 348 on base. So right now he's playing great baseball here is Spencer Torkelson, and he's really turned in to a power hitter more than anything for this Detroit Tiger team and fantasy baseball owners. August 15th at the Twins, 1 for 4, a homer in that one. August 16th at the Twins, 2 for 5, 2 home runs in that ball game. August 18th in the doubleheader at the Guardians, 1 for 6, a run. August 19th at the Guardians, 2 for 2 with a run. And August 20th at the Guardians, 1 for 4 with a homer and 2 RBI. So right now, if you're looking for power, runs driven in, he's right here in batting anywhere from 3rd and 4th usually in this lineup here for this Tiger team. And this would possibly be the last chance for owners to go out there and get him. Only available in 49% of fantasy leagues. The next hit is Eddie Rosario of the Atlanta Braves. So you want to talk about a streaky hitter, but he could turn it on and hit for big power. He's in here, 19 home runs, 61 RBIs, 52 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, a 260 average, and a 308 on base. But the last month of the season, pretty solid numbers for Rosario. 4 home runs, 17 RBIs, 13 runs scored, a stolen bag, a 289 average, and a 330 on base. In the last 2 weeks, to cut it down even more, 372 average, 3 home runs, 13 RBIs, a stolen base, 8 runs scored. So right now, Rosario batting usually 6th in this lineup for the Atlanta Brave team. And obviously opposing pitchers, they're not going to worry about Rosario when they got to worry about Acuna, Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Marcell Ozuna, Sean Murphy, Ozzie Albies. So this lineup stacked from 1 through 9 here over there in Atlanta. And Eddie Rosario, he's been getting good pitches to hit. And we know throughout his career, he's been mashing righties. August 15th versus the Yankees, 0 for 3. August 16th versus the Yankees, 1 for 2, a homer, 2 batted in. August 18th versus the Giants, 2 for 4, rib. August 19th versus the Giants, 4 for 4 in that one. Home run, 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored. And August 20th versus the Giants, 1 for 3. So right now playing great baseball is Rosario. He's back on the power surge. He's on a hot streak. And like I said, he's definitely hot and cold hitter is Rosario. But right now, while he's on the hot streak, he's definitely a hitter to add this week. Available in 71% of fantasy leagues. Next hit is Nolan Jones of the Colorado Rockies. So Jones, we've seen some good moments here from him this season for this Colorado Rocky team and for fantasy owners. So on the year, 12 home runs, 36 RBIs, 33 runs scored, a 283 average, and a 363 on base. And the last month of the season, very solid baseball here for Jones. 5 homers, 19 ribs, 14 runs scored, 3 stolen bases, a 292 average, and 373 on bases. Surprisingly, he's still out there in 67% of fantasy leagues. He qualifies at first in outfield. He's in one of the better hitting ballparks in Coors Field, where that ball definitely carries. Like I said, a former top prospect in the Guardian system, it just didn't work out. And now getting everyday opportunity with one of the worst teams in the league here in Colorado. And he's making the most of it. August 14th versus Diamondbacks, 1 for 4 on RBI. August 15th versus the D-backs, 3 for 4 run. August 16th versus the D-backs, 1 for 4, a homer, 2 RBIs. August 18th versus the White Sox, 1 for 4 run, 2 ribs. August 19th versus the White Sox, 3 for 4, 2 runs, 2 RBIs, a stolen base. And August 20th versus the White Sox in that one, 0 for 3 with a run. So right now he's playing great baseball here is Nolan Jones. We know he's got power. We know he's going to drive in runs. And he's usually batting 4th or 5th for the most part in the middle of this Rocky order. So if you're looking for those categories, I think that's what Jones can bring to owners this week. The next hit is Ezequiel Tovar, his teammate of the Colorado Rockies. So Tovar right now, he's one of the top prospects going into the season in Major League Baseball. And he started from start to finish this year in this lineup every day. 14 home runs, 56 RBIs, 62 runs scored, 7 stolen bases, a 262 average, and a 301 on base. In the last 2 weeks, he's starting to get it going once again. 4 home runs, 8 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 12 runs scored, a 320 average, and a 386 on base. So right now, Tovar, He's been added in 12% of fantasy leagues over the last week, but still out there in 56% of leagues. August 15th versus the D-backs, 0 for 5. August 16th versus the D-backs, 3 for 4, 2 runs. August 18th versus the White Sox, 2 for 4, homer, 3 RBIs. August 19th versus the White Sox, 0 for 3, a run. And August 20th versus the White Sox, 1 for 5 with an RBI. So right now he's playing great baseball here. Is Ezequiel Tovar. We know he's got some pop at the shortstop position. Only 21 years old, one of the top prospects baseball coming up this year. And we know shortstop, if you need help, Tovar definitely can help fantasy owners. He's going to show some power. He's driving in some runs. He's batting usually second or third for this team right now in Colorado. And he's getting the everyday chance. I would definitely give him an ad this week, and he can help fantasy owners for sure down the stretch. Yeah, the next hit is Jake Burger of the Miami Marlins. So Jake Burger, a very surprising season. Obviously started the year with the White Sox, and then the Marlins needed some power and added him in a deal at the deadline. And he's really raised his batting average up over the last few weeks here. Big time is Burger. On the year, 27 home runs, 63 RBIs, 52 runs scored at stolen base, a 240 average, and a 305 on base. Ever since he's been a Miami Marlin, the strikeout rate's cut down, the contact rate obviously has gone up, and the batting average has skyrocketed. When he was with the White Sox, he was hitting low 200s. Now, 240 in the last month of the season, 6 home runs, 16 RBIs, 13 runs scored, 295 average, and a 374 on base. Hey, he fits this Marlin offense pretty solid here to go with hitters like Luis Arraez, Jorge Soler, Josh Bell, another hitter they traded for at the deadline, just to name a few over there, Jesus Sanchez, De La Cruz. So this is a solid nucleus, I think, over here in Miami. And Jake Burger, he's been on a hit streak, especially over the last few ball games. The last 3 games here for Burger, he's got 8 hits. August 14th versus Houston, 1 for 4. August 15th versus Houston, 1 for 4. August 16th versus Houston, 3 for 4, 2 runs, 2 RBIs. August 18th at the Dodgers, 1 for 4, a homer, 3 RBIs. And August 19th at the Dodgers, 4 for 7 with a run scored in the doubleheader. So right now playing great baseball here is Jake Burger. He's showing power this season, obviously, but now the batting average is coming into play. And I like that a lot, obviously, that he could do a little bit of everything. And this was a good deal here for the Marlins. Obviously, they're trying to get in one of those last wild card spots. And Burger's paying good dividends for the Marlins, and I think he definitely can help fantasy owners as well. The next hitter is Stone Garrett, staying in the same division of the Washington Nationals. So Stone Garrett's been one of the hottest pickups of the week here, but he's still out there right now in tons of fantasy leagues. Is Garrett 76% on the season, 9 home runs, 40 RBIs, 40 runs scored, 3 stolen bases, a 279 average, and a 351 on base. But the last month of the season, very solid, 3 homers, 17 RBIs, 15 runs scored, a 333 average, and a 427 on base. So right now, this national team, we know it's been a rebuild season this year and last season as well, but they're starting to find some players, and in years to come, I think this national team can compete once again. They got some young blue chippers. Stone Garrett starting to emerge now. Keeper Ruiz, he's been a solid catcher. They got in the deal, obviously, for Max Scherzer and Turner. Also, Josiah Gray, he's been good. Mackenzie Gore, CJ Abrams. So right now, they got a decent nucleus, and Garrett's adding to that. And right now, can help fantasy owners as well. August 15th versus the Red Sox, 1 for 4, 2 RBIs. August 16th versus the Red Sox, 2 for 4, 2 homers. August 17th versus the Red Sox, 2 for 4, run, 3 RBIs. August 18th versus Philly, 3 for 4, 2 runs. August 19th versus Philly, 1 for 4. So right now, playing good baseball here, Stone Garrett. Obviously getting an everyday opportunity with this rebuilding Washington national team that's out of the race right now. Even though somehow they're still only 7.5, 8 games out of the wild card spot. Even though it's a long shot of making the playoffs, they definitely competed this season better than most people thought. And Stone Garrett, he's going to bring you some power. He's bringing some batting average. And like I said, he's still out there in tons of fantasy leagues right now. At 76%, the next hitter is Noelvi Marte of the Cincinnati Reds. So Marte, one of the top prospects in the Red system, and this year was a big year here for Cincinnati, competing for a wild card spot in their division in the Central. And now they've called up some top prospects, obviously, this season. And Carcion Strand, De La Cruz, Matt McLain, and Marte's been the latest. So Marte was tearing it up in the minor leagues, and so far in the major leagues, he's only had 1 ball game started, 1 for 4 in that one. So right now, Marte's specialties batting average, it's going to be stealing bases for the most part. And he's a shortstop, but they're going to have to shuffle this infield around a little bit now over here, obviously. Is a Cincinnati Red team. So right now, Marte, he's going to bring you stolen bases. He's going to bring you some batting average, I believe. He don't have that much power or that RBIs, but if you're looking for stolen bases, average and on-base percentage, that's his specialty. And as long as he's going to play at least 5-6 days a week here for this Cincinnati Red team, I think he's going to have fantasy value. And right now, he's available in 90% of fantasy leagues. Next hitter is Yainer Diaz of the Houston Astros. So Diaz, he's been a surprise this season at the catching position for this Astro team. And he plays some DH and first base as well. He qualifies at. So on the season, 17 home runs, 43 RBIs, 35 runs scored, 280 average, and a 297 on base. You want to talk about a player that doesn't work the count, and he doesn't walk a lot here. Diaz is definitely that guy, but right now, playing good baseball, especially the last month of the season. We know he's a free swinger, but hey, it's working out for him. 7 home runs the last month, 19 RBIs, 11 runs scored, a 329 average, and a 338 on base. So right now, he's hitting for power this season. He's driving in runs, and the average is very solid considering his on-base percentage is only 17 points higher than his average on the year. So the last few games for him, August 15th at Miami, 1 for 4, homer, 2 ribs. August 18th versus the Mariners, 2 for 4. August 19th versus the Mariners, 2 for 4, a homer in that one. And August 20th versus the Mariners, 1 for 5, a run in the ribs. So right now for a guy playing every day, like I said, at different positions, DH and first base, but qualifies as a catcher, which obviously is one of the weakest positions in fantasy baseball here. That's definitely a huge plus to get a guy like Diaz off the waiver wire who's available in 71% of fantasy leagues and pretty much plug him into your catcher spot, and he's playing every day for this Houston Astros team. So I definitely would give him an ad. And he's got an outside shot here finishing the year with 23 home runs as well, which is very solid. So I would definitely give Diaz an ad this week. Next hit is Mason Wynn of the St. Louis Cardinals. He's a top hitting prospect left in the minor leagues here, obviously, for this St. Louis Cardinal team. After Jordan Walker got called up to start the season, so on the year for Wynn, obviously a small sample size so far, but he's a speedster. And this kid's got a cannon in shortstop where he could throw over 100 miles per hour to first base. Obviously, that's not going to help fantasy owners, but in terms of batting average, base stealing, and showing some decent pop, I think Wynn could bring that to owners. And he obviously is at shortstop, one of the weakest positions in fantasy baseball. So far, his first 3 games of his career, August 18th versus the Mets, 1 for 4. August 19th versus the Mets, 0 for 3. And August 20th versus the Mets, 2 for 4. So right now, obviously, they're going to take it easy with winning. They're not going to put him in a huge spot in the lineup where he's been batting 9th so far to start his major league career. But like I said, he could be a good hitter for this St. Louis Cardinal team. Available right now in 78% of fantasy leagues. And if you need a shortstop and a kid with major upside, Mason Wynn definitely could bring that to fantasy owners. Like I said, towards the next 540 games left of the regular season. And the final hitter I looked at this week's Charlie Blackmon of the Colorado Rockies. So this is the 3rd Rocky player on the list this week here. And Charlie Blackmon, we know he's a solid veteran. And it's all said and done, he usually has decent numbers. I know this season he's been out a lot with the hand injury, but he's been back recently and been playing good baseball. So on the season here for Blackmon, 7 home runs, 31 RBIs, 42 runs scored, a 278 average, and a 363 on base since he returned in the last couple weeks. Runs, 5 RBIs, 8 runs scored, a 438 average, and a 550 on base. So Charlie Blackmon playing great baseball since he returned in the last few weeks here for this Colorado Rocky team. And he's one of their last remaining veterans on this roster for the most part. Chris Bryant, another lost season with injuries for him. And right here, Charlie Blackmon, he's going to be a good player. And he always hustles as well, so I think he helped fantasy owners, even though we know this Rocky team's way out of contention. August 15th versus Diamondbacks, 1 for 4, running a rib. August 16th, pinched hit, 1 for 1 versus Arizona. August 18th versus the White Sox, 1 for 3, 2 runs and RBI. 19th versus the White Sox, 2 for 5, a homer, 2 ribs, 2 runs scored. And August 20th versus the White Sox, 2 for 4 with a homer and 2 runs scored. So right now he's playing great baseball. Here's Charlie Blackmon. He's showing the pop once again since he returned. And we know he's always been the catalyst leading off for this lineup over there in Colorado, which I think is a decent lineup, especially at the home games in Coors Field where that ball really carries. So that's a few hitters I look to add here as the season's winding down, and these are big weeks to add some crucial players to your roster for Week 20 of the fantasy baseball season.